Every year since 2005, Amusement Today has handed out a Golden Ticket Award for the best new ride. The GTA voters have always had a mind of their own, to put it nicely. And generally speaking, their picks are very American-centric. You especially find that in this category. So later on this week, I'll be looking at the best non-American attractions to open up every year since 2005. But today, let's look at the rides that they chose over the last 15 years. Special thanks to Coaster Rampage on Instagram for this video idea. These are the winners of the Golden Ticket Award for Best New Ride, ranked from worst to best. Number 15. Wild Eagle at Dollywood from 2012. I've never been a big fan of Wild Eagle. I think it's the weakest of the 4 B&M wing coasters in the US. It was, however, the first one in the country, and one of the first ones in the world, so the novelty was still there. It opened the same year as X-Flight at Six Flags Great America, which wasn't even a finalist for the award. Wild Eagle does have a great setting, surrounded by trees, and a great first drop straight off the lift, which is unique to wing coasters in America. But it is the weakest of the coasters to win the award. Let's see the other finalists it beat out. Oz Iris at Parc Asterix in France, a B&M invert. Verbolten at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and of course, Skyrush at Hershey Park. I honestly would have chose all of those over Wild Eagle, but that's not all. It also beat out Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland, the first B&M Giga, as well as one of the great non-coaster rides that I've ever experienced, Radiator Springs Racers at California Adventure. Wild Eagle was not a great choice, but it is an easy choice for number 15 here. Number 14. Prowler at Worlds of Fun from 2009. Right in the depths of the economic crash, 2009 was not stacked with great coasters. Prowler is a very solid GCI Woody, nothing spectacular, though I've never gotten a ride at night, and I hope I can do that very soon. I do have Prowler slightly ahead of another GCI that was nominated in 2009, Apocalypse. It also beat out 2 other non-coasters, Monster Mansion at Six Flags Over Georgia, and Pilgrim's Plunge at Holiday World. The other 2 nominees are a little more controversial. It beat out Manta at SeaWorld Orlando, and Diamondback at Kings Island. Diamondback is obviously one of my all-time favorites, but since it's just a B&M hyper and Prowler has a little bit more character, I can respect the choice. Still, out of all the coasters that won the award, Prowler is lower on the list. Number 13. Flying Turns at Knoebels from 2014. I have never ridden this in-house wooden bobsled coaster, even though I have seen it twice. It just never seems to be open when I'm there. From what I've heard, the ride is pretty mild, but I don't think it won the award for its thrill factor. I think it won because of how much work it took to pull it off. The project started in 2005 and finally opened to the public in October of 2013. Since it opened after the golden tickets were given out in 2013, it was eligible in 2014, and it beat out some very good coasters. Banshee at Kings Island, Goliath at Great America, and Lightning Run at Kentucky Kingdom. It also beat the half-dark ride, half-coaster Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. I understand why it won. Number 12. Ravine Flyer 2 at Waldameer from 2008. This has been one of the more praised Woodies in America since it opened. I have mixed feelings on it. I've seen what it could do, but I wasn't really on the hype train. It's got a great layout and good airtime moments, and I'm sure it was really smooth when it opened compared to 10 years later when I finally got to ride it. It beat out 2 other Woodies, one being Boardwalk Bullet on the Kemah Boardwalk, and the other being one of my personal favorites, American Thunder at Six Flags St. Louis, then known as Evel Knievel. Behemoth and Led Zeppelin at the defunct Hard Rock Park were also in the running. When you combine the ride experience with the setting, I respect the choice. Number 11. New Texas Giant at Six Flags Over Texas from 2011. Was this really the best coaster from 2011? Maybe. But I think it won because it was the first time that we saw what RMC can do, and how great the ride turned out to be. New Texas Giant is looked down on a little bit these days, since RMC has had 10 years of improvement to master the craft. But at least at the time, it was spectacular. It beat out 2 small-scale Woodies, Wooden Warrior at Quasi and Twister at Gronalund, as well as Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens Tampa, and the coaster that I would have personally chosen, Zippin' Pippin at Bay Beach. But New Texas Giant was the right choice for the time. Number 10. Outlaw Run at Silver Dollar City from 2013. Just like New Texas Giant, here's an RMC that I wasn't super impressed with, but at the time, it was a completely innovative coaster. Just 2 years after New Texas Giant, RMC built their first ground-up topper track wooden coaster, equipped with 3 inversions, a rapid-fire layout, and ejector airtime. I don't have this ranked over RMC's other 2013 coaster, Iron Rattler, but it beat that out in the GTA vote. Same with Gatekeeper, Gold Striker, and Transformers the Ride at Universal Studios Florida. Probably the biggest problem I have with this coaster is the rough ride, which was probably butter smooth in its first year, so it makes sense. Number 9. Steel Curtain at Kennywood from 2019. I haven't ridden this, so I'm kinda guessing here, and taking other people's opinion into account. At 220 feet tall, and with 9 inversions, we've never really seen anything like this. My favorite coaster of the year was not open when they voted, TMNT Shellraiser at American Dream's Nickelodeon Universe. But it is a clone of Fuji-Q's Takabisha, so maybe it wouldn't have gotten much play with the voters anyway. There were a bunch of good coasters that it beat out, like Copperhead Strike, Yukon Striker, Untamed, and Hagrid's. The reception for Steel Curtain is generally good, but not great, but I can see why it got the most votes. Number 8. Maverick at Cedar Point from 2007. For a pretty mediocre year, Maverick does stand out above the rest. Other steel coasters, Mystery Mine and Griffin, were in consideration, along with Woody's, Renegade, and Troy. Maverick was a totally new type of coaster when it opened, and if people didn't know what to expect when it was announced because of its small stature, I'm sure they were impressed once they rode it. 70 miles per hour while staying low to the ground makes for some crazy fast-paced elements. This was the obvious choice for 2007. Number 7. Hades at Mount Olympus from 2005. The inaugural winner of the award was also the Gravity Group's first coaster, and it's an absolute monster. This was 8 years before it was given the Timberliner trains, and reprofiled the parking lot section to include an inversion and an overbank. But like all of these wooden coasters, they were running at their smoothest when they first opened, which is a big plus. This was impressive enough to beat out the world's tallest and fastest coaster, King Dakar, and Sheikra at Busch Gardens Tampa, and Powder Keg from Silver Dollar City, fresh off its SNS transformation from a water coaster. Some other interesting nominees: Kings Island's Italian Job and Cedar Point's Max Air were also in the mix for some reason. I never rode the original Hades, but I love the 2013 renovation. Smooth, brand new Hades does sound awesome though. Number 6. Mystic Timbers at Kings Island from 2017. Coming off an amazing year in 2016, 2017 was kind of a down year, as parks were prepping for an amazing 2018. Mystic Timbers may have been the highest profile coaster to open that year, as the other coasters in the running were the rough but still awesome Mindblower at Fun Spot, and very mild borderline family coasters, Invader and Wavebreaker. I give the voters a pass for not having DC Rivals on here, since that opened later in 2017, but it wasn't even nominated for 2018, which is interesting. But I'll save that for the next video. The other ride that Mystic Timbers beat out is Flight of Passage at Animal Kingdom, which is supposedly one of the great dark rides ever made. As much as I love coasters, I like spectacular dark rides even more, so I may pick Flight of Passage over Mystic Timbers when I finally get to ride it. But I can't complain about the pick too much. Mystic Timbers is one of the best Woodies I've ever ridden. Number 5. Lightning Rod at Dollywood from 2016. I had high expectations for Lightning Rod when I went to ride it in its opening week, and it exceeded them. 2016 Lightning Rod was smooth and powerful. It didn't stay that way, but since we're just talking about 2016, it's the easy pick here. And there were some very good coasters that it beat out, but I don't think any of them matched the quality and unique nature of Lightning Rod, the world's first launched wooden coaster, as well as the world's fastest wooden coaster. Switchback at ZDT's, Valraven at Cedar Point, as well as 2 coasters also in my top 20, Storm Chaser at Kentucky Kingdom and Mako at SeaWorld Orlando. Number 4. Voyage at Holiday World from 2006. Let's get the rest out of the way before talking about the battle of the heavyweights. Kentucky Rumbler at Beach Bend, Goliath at Six Flags Over Georgia, Expedition Everest at Animal Kingdom. Good rides, but not Voyage level. Tatsu didn't make the cut, but Kentucky Rumbler did, which is weird. But 2006 was all about Voyage and El Toro. These are currently my top 2 wooden coasters. And as much as I think Voyage is a masterpiece, El Toro is the clear-cut winner in terms of ride experience. But when it comes to character, Voyage kills El Toro. You have the second longest wooden coaster in the world, well behind the Beast, but more than 1,000 feet ahead of the rest of the pack. But unlike the Beast, it only has one lift hill, and uses terrain to its advantage so it can rip through the entire course. I really respect this pick. Number 3. Fury 325 at Carowinds from 2015. Even after Leviathan got snubbed for Wild Eagle in 2012, Fury was so great that the voters could not ignore it. Even with another superior wing coaster in the running in Thunderbird, Fury came out on top. It's also won the last several awards for Best Steel Coaster. It did have to knock off Cuchulainn at Ireland's Tato Park, as well as 2 RMCs in my top 10, Wicked Cyclone, and Twisted Colossus. B&M knocked their second Giga so far out of the park that there's no doubt that this was the right choice despite the stiff competition. Number 2. Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point from 2018. Well, here's my favorite coaster of all time, coming in at number 2 on this list. 2018 had a lot of great coasters open, but one of the coasters in the running was yet another small gravity group, Oscar's Wacky Taxi. Wickerman also got a nomination, as well as 2 other smash hits of 2018, Twisted Timbers and Time Traveler. Cedar Point and RMC went above and beyond with Steel Vengeance, taking the already massive structure of Mean Streak and going to the next level to make it a hyper hybrid, with well over a mile of track, as well as 4 inversions and the most airtime of any coaster in the world. It also manages to keep its speed the whole time. As my number 1 coaster, I'm 100% with the GTA voters here. Number 1. Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey at Islands of Adventure from 2010. I mentioned that I love a great dark ride more than any great coaster, and as of 2021, the best dark ride I've ever experienced is Forbidden Journey. I know by now that it may be outdated, and Flight of Passage or Rise of the Resistance may be better, but until I get on those, this is the one. I only got to ride this once, and it's been 9 years, but it blew me away so much on that one ride that I put it on the top of my list of rides, and the top of this list. It beat out another non-coaster, Ghost Ship at Maury's Piers, along with the Intimidator coasters, Skyrocket at Kennywood, and Joris Into Drac at Efteling. Many non-coasters were nominated for this award, but Harry Potter is the only one that broke through and won it, and I'm glad that this is the one that did. It's amazing. Those are my rankings of the 15 winners of the Golden Ticket Awards Best New Attraction for each year. Let me know what you think of their selections for each year, and which ones you would have changed. And be sure to stay tuned later this week for the best non-US coaster for each year since 2005. And if those could have topped the American ride the GTA voters gave the award to. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like. That's the best way to show your support for the channel. And if you're new here and like coasters, or seeing things get ranked, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any more content just like this. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.